couple of years the fiscal stability. The city hall is not really in a good shape, and the city needed the help from the province and from the federal government. How do you plan to tackle this issue, even in the long run?
Okay, so that's a multi-layered answer when we talk about the finances of the city. First and foremost, and something that was mentioned earlier, when we talk about our city, the important thing is we have to look not just at the short game, but the long game. So they're saying that by 2030, we're going to be 3.5 million people. And within that 3.5 million people, the vast majority are going to be newcomers. And when we look at the demographics of Canada, the rate of growth between people 65 and older is moving 6 times faster than 14 and under. So when you look at that picture, we're looking a lot of people that were involved in the economic drive of our country moving out. And we have this gap between 14 and under who are not going to be working yet. And there's this massive gap in between. So immigration is going to be our number one source of growth. And when we talk about the city of Toronto, it's unique because Toronto being the largest city in the country, the 4th largest in the continent, and people tend to forget that, we have different pressures, more unique pressures, where we represent 20% of the GDP. And so if Toronto fails, then the rest of the country is going to be in trouble. So taking the budget for as it is right now, when I am knocking on doors and talking with people, and we talk about voter apathy. The voter apathy is directly related to government not understanding what the community's needs are. There is this massive attachment. So first, it's being accountable for what money we already have. Is it being spent properly? Is it recognizing the needs of the issues and pressures that are dealing with the city of Toronto? And the shorter answer to that, for me, is no. And so first I have to look at exactly where the money's being spent. I have no idea where the money's being spent, but I can tell you when I'm out in the suburbs, they're very clear, and their feeling is that homeowners are paying the lion's share of the taxes, but they feel like they're getting the breadcrumbs of the return on investment. So the most important thing for government is to make sure that decisions that are being made represent the entire city and not just a small segment, not the loudest voice in the room. So in doing that, it has to be understanding communities. But looking at the existing process when it comes to the taxpayers' dollars is key and critical. I can first only speak to what I'm responsible for, and it's the city of Toronto and the monies that come in and how it's being spent. So I want to look at the books very clearly. I know the province wants to look at the books as well too. If they're going to take the bill on that, then that's even more fantastic for the city of Toronto. But it's necessary in today's environment to have a full understanding of where the money is going, and looking at how the money is being spent, and looking at the vehicles in which are being used in the spending. It's 2023, and are we still using systems that are old and antiquated? People are complaining that in order to get this simple permits, you have to go through layers of people. 2023, there are ways in which we can be autonomous and using digital platforms that can be much more convenient for people for access to certain resources, more effective, more efficient, that has more measuring tools to understand what is being done from start to finish. And more importantly, enhancing quality of life if people can have the opportunity of getting what they're looking for at a much more affordable rate. The second piece that's important is how we're spending the money. And I'll be very clear, I do not have an axe to grind with the councillors that are in place. I think that anyone that makes an effort to represent any constituency in any form, whether it's provincial, federal, or municipal, is going the extra mile, because you're so vulnerable. And in today's government, it is so quick for the critiques, especially with the digital platforms. However, I do challenge how the money is being spent. I think that as city government, the basic responsibility is to keep the city safe. I believe that a safe city is a healthy city, and I think that a healthy city is a